Well, welcome in everybody, and there is not much time. We are into the heat already, and I believe they are off. We are green here for Heat 1 of the AM series, and we do apologize for any delays that we have had, as there has been, iRacing has been having some issues, but we're on board now. Everything should all be good. We have a 28 lap heat race here for you, followed off by a 7-lap feature after this. Again, we do apologize for all the delays on the stream. We do apologize as there is a big off from Cristiano. That is Frankie there pushing them off and causing huge carnage in behind. But again, we do apologize for everything that has been caused by all the delays and everything else moving forward. We will try and fix this moving on for you guys, so that you guys can get some consistent streams and the guys who are racing can get some consistent racing as well. But again, we are here for the IFL AM opening round. There has been a couple of changes as well. This will be a drop round for the drivers, or can be counted as a drop round for the drivers. So there is a potential for that to happen, as I believe there is a safety car out, or at least a yellow flag out, for a few people who have currently crashed.
Yep, and I'll hop in now. Welcome everybody. Season opener, kind of gone awry here, but we're getting things fixed up for future races. Like Alyssa just said, we are going to be dropping one race throughout the season to make up for the debacle that we got going on here. iRacing has given us a couple different things that have gone wrong here, but we are up and going. We're racing. This is our main race. We'll be doing 28 laps here. We'll be doing an inverted top 12 for the sprint in the second race. And yeah, we're just excited to be racing again. After this, we have our pro race that will be 66% of the true F1 race. So, Alyssa, it's good to be back.
Yeah, hectic start. Hectic start. There was a huge crash at the start of this race, which I will try and get on screen in a second for you all. But yeah, it's good to be back. Just wish there was, you know, a little less in terms of bugs going around. But hey, you know, it's things we can't avoid. We've tried our best to fix it, and hopefully that is now all good for us as well. So let's take a look quickly back at the crash that started this safety car as well, if we can get that. I need to scroll up a little bit further in the history here, because it was all chaotic.
I'll hop in and explain a couple of our regulation changes as well. While you do that, we have obviously our sprint format here and feature format. Feature is going to be 40% of our race length for F1, and then our sprint will be 10%. The AM series here will invert the sprint race. Top 12 drivers, like I had said before. Our safety car threshold has also been upped quite a bit, so safety cars will be less frequent, but being race 1, obviously, we have a little bit of craziness going on. But we had, 3 or 4 cars just on cold tires. First race of the season, everybody's getting excited. Everybody wants to advance. It's a crazy start, but hey, we're 2 laps in, and things are starting to level out now as we see Jake Potts in 4th place here. I think he moved up quite a bit. Olsen up in 3rd, John Journey up in 2nd, Frankie Franchicha in 1st.
So we do have, hopefully here, the reason as to why all of this started. We see Cristiano going wide there, and yeah, coming back on track, and then behind him is just a massive skew of cars going off. There's a little bit more contact as well, going on a little bit further. If we watch back on board with Cristiano from the rear view, we should be able to see a little bit better as to what was happening. So you can see in the background already there's so much chaos and carnage with cars going all over the road, and a couple drivers having being DNF'd now as well. because of the collisions. But as we mentioned before, there will be a drop round, thankfully, so people don't have to worry too much about that. But even still, we would like the first race of the season to be a little bit smoother than what it was, right?
Yep, of course. And like I said, one drop round, that means any round throughout the season, one of our drivers will be able to drop. So if this round ends up just being all sorts of messed up for you, then you can drop this round. If there's another one later on in the season, and this round actually goes fairly well for you, you can drop one of those rounds as well. So technically 9 races throughout the season of our 10 will count towards your points. And you get to choose which one does not count towards your points.
It's all gone a little bit mental, but I think we're finally there. We're finally around, and hey, I mean, as you said before, we're excited to finally get this season underway, finally get everything all sorted so that we can get back racing, and the lights on the safety car have gone off, so I'd imagine it will pull in this lap.
Yep, correct. It'll be going green after this lap.
And again, we will apologize in advance for any of the drivers who do watch back this stream. If your information on the stream is not correct, please let me know on Discord. We will get those updated as soon as possible. That's also something that I've had to do manually. So again, we do apologize for any of that. It's just been a little bit hectic on our end. I believe the likes of what was Lumos have renamed, so that needs to change at some point. So that would be Jake Potts, and I believe Epps is also racing with him for that team.
Yep, yeah, we have teams of 3. That's another format change that we have. So we have Weston Epps, Jake Potts, and James Mollaire, which I do not see Mollaire on grid, so he either A, wrecked out early, or B, he may not have made it in. But we have a bunch of teams as we go through. I'll be trying to name as many as we can. A bunch of brand new liveries that are beautifully done.
And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just happy that we're finally back racing again. It's been a long off season, but Ranking Friend Chiska will lead us away in the number 98, and they are going to be going any second now. They will have to wait for the safety car, and just coming out of the exit of the corner, they do indeed go. Looks like it was a good start. Looks like there's no pressure really, but we have to be careful of Lucas as well, because he's going to be swarmed by the Orion Legendary Racing Team, officially renamed, as Frederick tried to go up the inside, didn't get anything doing just yet. Marianne is also there, and there is a little bit of a 3-car sandwich at the moment. Thankfully, there's a massive contact between Frederick and I believe that was Lucas in that 3-car battle, and again, hopefully that didn't cause any other incidents, but we do see some other people falling down the order, as once again, I want to say there has been another, I mean, I'm going to be honest, avoidable collision, and unfortunately that is that might be the end of Larson's race here as well.
Yep, Larson is out of the race. Slodman out of the race. They bumped. They both reset to the pits. It looks like our cars are starting to settle in here. Once again, a higher yellow throwing threshold here for our automatic programming. Weston Epps making a move on Danny O'Keefe. Side by side, Miriam Barbaro and William Dent coming down the track as well. We got action all over the place here. Our leader, Frankie Franchicha, though, he is starting to pull away a little bit from John Nicholas Journey in second.
and I believe Danny is also in the pit lane now as well. So Danny may have accrued damage in some of the battles that were going on as Tico finally gets his move done. Switch teams did Tico, I believe. He is now no longer part of Turning Point Racing and is part of a new team. So it'll be interesting to see what that team is capable of. Obviously, we know Tico is a very quick driver, as he proves it here and absolutely sends the move up the inside of Halmar, leaving Halmar really nowhere to go. Just sort of has to accept that the position is lost, and Tico is going to try and make his way up through the field. We know, as I said from last season, Tico's a very quick driver, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy up near the top near the end of this race.
Yeah, Tico is such a quick driver. He's going to have to pick his way through a lot of traffic, though. You see him down there in, what's that, 18th place? He is going to have to really make his way through the field. But we know he has the speed to do it, as he makes another overtake, putting him up into 17th place. Good Racing is the team that grabbed him up, and that consists of Jack Clark, Tiago Krigsman there, and then Marion Barbaro as well, who Barbaro, I want to say, is a little farther up the grid in 6th place. So if Tiago can get up there with his teammate, then they could have a pretty good point showing to start off the season. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, I think it's one of those things that obviously at the start of the season there's so much pressure on you, as we see a battle here for 9th position. This is Jeff Schroeder and Stephen Parker Hamilton going side by side through the final corner. Who's going to get the best run down into turn 1? Jeff, obviously, and there's a huge off for Rory Collins in the background. Tires off and all. That is going to be an unfortunate end to his race, maybe. Obviously, there is a potential that he can come back in, but that was a pretty big crash.
Big lock up there from Stephen Parker Hamilton.
And
still fighting back against Jeff Schroeder here. And right in front of them, even, we have Joachim Flodman and Frederick Larson got back on track. He's going to be a few laps down, but you never know. You never want to count yourself out of the race.
No, absolutely. But this is one of your closest battles on track at the moment, with just everybody trying to get involved, and unfortunately Joachim being in a little bit of an awkward situation of just blue flag traffic, has to kind of yield the positions, but probably doesn't want to lose as much time as possible. So we'll see how the likes of Joachim can battle through this traffic and still hopefully make up a few positions as well moving forward. I mean, the other things as well is we do have obviously some new names into the league. It'd be interesting to see and sort of monitor them over sort of last league's pretty dominant drivers, like the likes of, as we mentioned before, Kriegsman had really good results throughout the season. You know, Jake Potts had really good results throughout the season. Unfortunately, we don't have the season champions from F3 last season. They did not return, which is a bit of a shame to see, but nonetheless, you know, they were absolutely insane. So again, we'll see if anyone can break any of their track records too. Maybe we'll get a new team that emerges. Obviously the format is a little bit different now, so people can be a little bit more aggressive in how they drive, you know, with this heat race 1 and then the sprint as well. It's all mental.
Yep. Yeah, it is just insane how we have it set up this season. We have the reverse grid on the secondary race, the sprint race, which is only 10% of real F1 length. So for this race, we have a 28 lap feature, which we're on right now, and then that 7-lap sprint. It's just reverse, and it is all out. Just try and gain as many positions as you can. We're going to see a lot of fun coming up in that. But these drivers, they have that second chance. So we saw Frederick Larson, he crashed out. Joachim Flodman crashed out as well. They're going to fight to try and get up into that 12th position, because if they can be on pole for the sprint race. In sprint race, you don't get nearly as many points. You get a little less than half the points for each position that you finish. But still, top 10 are getting 10 points for first, 9 points for second, so on and so forth. So you can make up a big chunk of points if your team is struggling, or if you need that second chance, that little bit extra to try and, you know, just get yourself back in it after a bad race weekend. these drivers are going to have that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also another thing, is like, what do you do regarding the strategy, as I believe Frankie has also had a massive crash. Is that with Jake Potts? I'm not sure what happened, but it looks as though both drivers had a incident. We'll have to go back and see if we can get this. We're on board with Jake Potts, seeing whether or not they can figure out what is going on here. So Jake Potts just goes way too deep into the corner. It almost looked like he got hit from behind, actually. We might have to rewind that and double check just to see if there was any sort of contact from behind, or whether it was just a lockup. So going into the corner here, watch the car behind. Does he get close? No, it just looks like there may have just been some contact, and that was it for Jake Potts. They've now dropped down behind his teammate in 7th, so potentially if Jake is a little bit faster, he may be asking Weston, hey man, you know, help a brother out, you know. I was up there, let me try and get back there, you know. But if he's not quicker, then maybe they just work together, settle with where they're at. They know that they will have obviously the reverse top 12, so if Weston finishes in front in this main race, then Jake will be ahead of him on the grid, so potentially that could also be part of the strategy.
Yep, and it also just makes drivers not give up. So, you know, last season, if Jake has a pretty bad spill like that, you know, he has some damage, he might say, you know, I'm gonna finish outside of the points. I'm not gonna push. I'm gonna call it a day and just get back to racing next week. Whereas now, Potts is gonna push. You know, he's only in 7th, but if he was, you know, a little farther down, he can still fight and get up in that 12th position, get a pole position in the sprint race, and then, you know, really try and push for some points. So that second chance has a lot of people staying in the races, A, but B, it gives you that hope. You have a little bit of hope for the next race to come, as we see a yellow flag up on the grid there.
I am not entirely sure what for.
So our new safety car limits are 40 incident points within 10 seconds. So what that means is within a 10-second time frame, if 40 incidents happen on track, our automatic stewarding system that we now have in place will throw a yellow flag. So we have either a big crash or a lot of incidents happening isolated throughout the track.
Well, we did have Jake and Frankie obviously having those incidents, and then Frank apparently also crashed. So let's see what happens here with Frank. Going through, does he just lose the car? Yeah, just loses the car on the exit, and that is unfortunately in a really bad spot. Don't really want to be there.
Probably what did it there.
Thankfully, he just jumps back to the pits, and that is all good. But again, 2 safety cars in one race straight away. 10 laps in, we've had 2 safety cars. It is all a little bit crazy.
And even with the heightened regulations on the safety car, we still had that wreck, and it looks like, yeah, cars touched a couple times after that, right in front of that wreck. So that's probably what triggered it. Was the wreck itself, a bunch of incident points. We had a bunch of cars touching, causing incident points with the system. So system throws a caution there.
Hopefully,
cars are starting to settle in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully we can actually get some green flag racing here, and we can get all back underway again. But for the lapped cars, I'd imagine this is almost a bit of a saving grace. You know, you've probably already taken your pit stop at this point, right? I would imagine, and so you don't have to worry about really anything else. You can sort of just try to make it to the end on fuel. I don't know if potentially it's a little bit too early for that. Obviously, we do have still 18 laps to go, so we'll have to wait and see sort of what strategy unfolds based on that.
Yeah, but we have one of the new regulations as well is 50% fuel for these cars instead of 65. So we've reduced it by about 15%. These cars are going to be needing to pit a little bit later. So it shrinks the pit window, but it also makes it to where you can't pit after lap 1 or lap 2 and make it all the way to the end, like we had seen a couple times in the league last season. So then you essentially, if you get a safety car, you didn't need to pit more than just that first one at the first safety car. And then you can make it to the end of the race. So we shortened things up a little bit. The pit window should be close to being open. So this would be a very close call if these cars would be able to make it to the end of the race if they pit right now. So, but we have quite a bit of a mix-up here with Journey up front.
I mean, it's a lot of the new runners.
Yeah, that's what we love to see. Lucas Link in second, Marion Barbaro in third.
Who Lucas is going into the pit lane, so this will be interesting to see. Obviously, going into the pit lane under safety car will gain you a little bit of time. And that will mean that the timing screen will be a little bit funky as we do just adjust to sort out, you know, what's really going on here. But even still, the safety car window will open up on the lap that the... So when the safety car lights go out, so you've got one more lap left of you know, formation, that's when the pit window will open. And as we see, Luca has already come out, was in the pits for... had a pit lane time of 37 seconds, and he came out behind Tico Kriegsman and Eli, it looks like, and it's just going to filter in there.
Yep, another thing that our automated system
is ahead of Eli, actually, so...
Yep, another thing that our automated stewarding system does is it shortens our yellow laps from being 3 to being 2, so that pit lane should open up one lap earlier than it used to last season as well. So these guys were able to get in and get a pit stop in fairly quickly instead of having to wait 2 laps like last season.
Which hopefully should improve the strategy, at least as far as safety cars are concerned as well. So we should see people, if they pit under safety car, actually gain a little bit of time instead of being in a situation where practically the race is going back green again before they even manage to get that pit stop under the safety car.
Correct.
Is
that was
the theory. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. Lucas is obviously going to be the one that we watch to see whether or not that happens. Lucas being sort of one of the front runners who did pit under that safety car. Pit on lap 10 as comparison to Tico Kriegsman ahead of him, who pit on lap 2, and then Weston Epps, who pit on the very first lap, I believe, with just repairing some damage. Patrick Olsen and Jake Potts also hit under the safety car, so those are 2 other names to watch. There is 3 cars in between Lucas and Patrick, so whatever Lucas did in that pit stop manages to pull himself a little bit of a gap at least, so we'll have to wait and see how John leads the field away as our lead car. So it is, it's all kicking off a little bit. 2 safety cars in the first race. And the sprint race, I mean, Alex, I don't know about you, mate, but that sprint race is going to be absolutely crazy.
Yes, yeah, I am really looking forward to the sprint race. Obviously, like we had said today, it, you know, being a little bit messed up on the formatting side, but it's still going to be fun nonetheless. Our top 12 drivers finishing in the feature race here, they're going to be flipped on their head and be inverted. And you're going to be able to...
Wait, Lucas is in again. Lucas is back in the pit lane. So did he potentially get a speeding penalty?
Maybe a speeding penalty. He's getting his drive-through now, but we have cars coming down into turn number 1. Journey and Barbaro, not quite side by side, but they are fighting nonetheless. These cold tires are going to prove a little bit of a problem here for a couple of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to try and keep on board with a lot of the battles that are going on, but obviously there are quite a few of them. Nicholas Marshall, Patrick Olson, all together. We've got Jan Turvo battling with, I believe that was Jake Potts in front of them. So there is, or potentially that is a lapped car there, the number 190. Battling with that. I want to say that was a Haas-looking livery there. I'm not sure who's running that, but
I think that would be William Dent. He is a privateer this season. He is new, so I believe he was looking for a team. So anybody out there looking to grab up another driver that is short driver, maybe give William a message. But yeah, Jan Turvo, he's new as well, running in 14th. He's going to be trying to get up into that 12th spot to try and get into that pole position for the sprint race. Maybe even get into some points. These drivers are really fighting, huh?
Yeah, Tico tried to go up the inside there of Steven, and nothing found just yet, but if he keeps pushing and he keeps trying to get that position, I'd imagine Tico we will see go through quite quickly here. And I'm going to be honest, this is a very impressive drive from Tico Kriegsmann so far. You know, he started down pretty low after the first lap incident, and here we go up the inside goes Tico Kriegsmann, hits the apex nicely. Car's a little bit squirrely on the exit. This may give Steven the chance to run back through around the outside of the second corner here. We're going to see it. Can Steven hold it round? And it doesn't look like he can. Obviously that corner, if you do get out to the outside, it is very difficult to fight that position. You've got off camber, so the car naturally is just trying to feed itself to the outside, so you have to really wait for the car to hook in, and Tico just taking the inside line, knew all about that obviously, and uses it to the best of his ability, and is now continuously trying to push through the field. Next up on his list, Weston Epps. Is he going to try and push it through the chicane? It doesn't look like he is, so once again Tico Kriegsmann giving it everything he's got here in this heat race. Lap 13 of 28, and it is all hotting up near the front.
Yep, it is it is getting a little crazy here on track. Journey, a new driver to the league this season. He is on the Lumos team, which we saw last season. He is one of the 3 drivers driving for them. His teammate Jeff Schroeder in back trying to hold off Tieco as of right now, and Weston Epps, their sister team, which is Knox Motorsports. But Tieco trying to get a good slipstream on Weston Epps right now. Epps goes for the inside block, little bit of a late move, but not too late. They're both still on track. They're doing well. Tieco pushing up behind him. Let's see if he can make a move. It's now or next lap. And
he's going to try and go around the outside as well. Very brave decision to try and go for it.
Yeah,
sorry to cut you off,
Hungary,
but
you're all right. Hungary, we know, is such a hard track to pass on, and you can see Weston dropping back a little bit from Schroeder there. He is having to defend Kriegsmann here. Weston Epps, he is trying to push for a podium. Same for Schroeder. Wouldn't that be a great start to the start for Lumos, having Journey and Schroeder both on a podium? Schegetman in third, the former Turning Point driver, now the team principal for the Racing Duchies.
So Racing Duchies, I'm assuming, would be himself and... Well, he didn't pick up Tico, so that was probably a missed opportunity for him. We're on the same team, so...
Cristiano locking up, and Jeff Schroeder is able to go through into third place right now. Let's see if this changes. Ooh, a little bit of off track maybe there for Jeff Schroeder. Ooh, side by side going down the straight. Ooh, late braking into the zone. Ooh, Jeff Schroeder getting a little bit squarely out of the turn. It's looking like Christian Schegetman might be able to get it. He's defending really hard. Gets him off his line a little bit. And first and second are battling it out too. Journey and Barbaro. Journey is holding off Barbaro pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. But
really close contact
jeez.
there. Schroeder and Sheggetman. Schroeder coming back on in front of Epps and Sheggetman, who are fighting. Epps back in front of Sheggetman after Sheggetman had crossed the
Tico
line.
tries sending it up the inside of Epps in the chicane. Tico is off even and loses a position there to Arturo. Steven. Arturo is actually getting up onto the back of this battle, so maybe something to watch out for is Arturo Mayorga, someone who was very consistently in the midfield last season, and it looks as though Tico doesn't have any steering damage just yet, so looks like that contact with the wall wasn't race ending, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, trying to send it through that chicane is always a risky move. Weston's always going to try and defend it, and hey, I mean, it's just one of those things, you know. Jeff has that little incident that he had, and naturally everyone else had to back up a little bit so that they could get through cleanly. Tico saw an opportunity, tried to go for it, and unfortunately the door shut really before he could finish making the move. And someone who is trying to make the move is Jake Potts right now, setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:37.0. And Alex, I'm not sure if you can do a little bit of fact finding for me, but what was the fastest race lap around here last season? As Journey is off the track as well. I'm not sure where he spun, but he is off, and we might have to see a replay on that one. Hopefully, as long as no other action happens. Arturo was going to try and look for the move, but wisely backed out of it. Let's go back on board and we will see what happens. So exiting turn 1, looks like everything is all good going into turn 2. He turns in and the car just gets away with him. We've seen that his car was so unstable into the turn 1 braking zone on exit, and once again, same thing, and he is round, which allows Marianne now to be P1 with Cristiano P2, Jeff Schroeder P3, and Weston Epps in P4. So there is still battles going on absolutely everywhere. I believe Frankie is also trying to make some moves happen, seeing whether or not they can catch up to the back of Ian Turvo. And again, the other thing as well is, you know, when we consider the sprint race, you know, you've got top 12 get reversed, right? So if you finish P12, you don't score any points in the feature race, or do you?
Sorry, what was the
top 12 in
question there?
So top 12 in feature, would you score points if you finish 12th, or is it just top 10?
You finish top 10. So if you finish in first, let's say Barbaro finishes out in first here, he would go to the 12th spot on the grid in the sprint, and then in that sprint he would still have to overtake a couple cars to get additional points, getting up into that 10th spot. Okay,
so theoretically then, one of the better places to finish, if you're considering points, is obviously in the main race. You want to finish as high up as possible. That's where your main point totals are going to be. However, if you're a midfield driver, like usually, like that's sort of where you're sitting, sort of around like maybe, you know, between like P9 and say P15, right? Like, let's say your average results put you in sort of that area. In theory, if you can get that nice result of like maybe like a P10, right? You're getting points in the main, and then you start on pole for a sprint race, and on a circuit like Hungary where we know it's difficult to overtake, all you really need to do is just hold your lines for 7 laps and you're taking home a win, which may come into it. There may be some strategies that play out like that. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, but potentially that could be all you need to put yourself up above someone who normally has some pretty good results in the main race, but then not so many good results in the sprint.
Yep, and we see Arturo Mayorga coming into the pits. We have Stephen Parker Hamilton coming into the pits. They're getting their tires and fuel. But yeah, you can, you know, strategy is going to be way different than it was last year. You know, like I said, drivers that may be in 15th position that figured, hey, I'm out of the race. I'm just gonna, get to the end of the race. Maybe I'll get lucky and somebody half the field will crash. But now that driver in 15th will push for 12th. And the drivers that are really pushing to try and get up there. So last season, Nicholas Marshall, he's right now in 11th position. Nicholas Marshall was very consistently in the midfield. If he finishes in P11, last season he would have been a little disappointed. Oh, I'm out of the points. This is, didn't work out for me this weekend. Now he's going to be starting P2 if it were to end right now. And Nicholas Marshall would be sitting in, a great position to score, a handful of points. Like you said, at a track like Hungary, where it's really hard to overtake, you have, 2 spots to overtake, the main straight and then before turn 2. If you can't get it done each and every lap, there's only 7 laps. You just have to hold that line for a couple laps, and you're scoring points. Your team, might be a midfield team, and you're scoring points each race because you're hitting it in the sprint race rather than the main feature.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's gonna be. Oh, what was that?
Sorry. We have a 3 wide Weston Epps, Gabriel Castro.
I'm down the straight. Yeah, I'm just getting on board with it now. Weston Epps goes straight through the middle even. Tries to overtake both of them, and what a move from Weston Epps. Needs to try and defend it. Back again from Emmanuel and then Gabriel. And I mean, Weston's trying as hard as he can. We've got someone up the inside of him. I believe that is Emmanuel, who was driving for VPG Sim last season, who this season is driving for... Is he driving for the same team that... Yeah, so he's driving for the same team that Cristiano is driving for, and Cristiano is ahead of both these drivers, and quite a way ahead, actually. So, potentially, what Cristiano wants to happen, if he knows that Weston is maybe slightly quicker, is Emmanuel, mate, you just attack him. Don't, if you're in a position where you can, just keep attacking him. I don't want him close enough to challenge me for this P12, because I want to start on pole for the sprint if I can't make it up past Jeff Schroeder, of course. Yep.
And on the graphic, we should be able to pop up our pit lap, or our number of times that these drivers have pit, and see who is pit and who is not, because Weston Epps was farther up. He might have pit and got released in between Gabriel Castro and Emmanuel Gerbino, because Weston was going quite a bit faster. It looks like most of our drivers have hit their pit stop. A couple have 2 stops. Yeah, Epps has 2 stops there, so he might have hopped into pits a little too early to be able to fuel up for the end of the race. But we have 8 laps left here. It's coming towards the end, and our grid is mixed up a handful of times. Right now, we're looking at Krigsman, Barbaro, and Potts to round off the podium positions. Patrick Olson sitting in 4th. Eli Cannon sitting in 5th. Frankie Fanchicha in 6th. Jan Turbo in 7th. Danny O'Keefe in 8th. Nicholas Marshall in 9th. Jackson Carr in 10th. Jeff Schroeder in 11th. And Cristiano Schegman in 12th. It has mixed up, shuffled them up, mixed them up again, shuffled up again. And we have a crazy ending coming up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Tico Kriegsman finally comes into the pit lane. He was, I believe, the only one to not stop, or at least pit maybe a little bit too early, so wasn't able to finish the race on the fuel he had. So potentially, depending on the gap that Tico had, we may see Tico start dropping back into this battle around 4th, 5th, and 6th, as Jan Turbo is also coming into the pit lane. So that's another driver who potentially may not have had enough fuel to make it to the end, and that is also going to shake up the order. We're on board now with Jackson Carr battling with Jeff Schroeder. I believe Jeff Schroeder did make that pass. Yeah, indeed he did. He did make that pass for P8, which will obviously turn up a little bit higher, as Immediately, Jackson Carr back on the offensive, trying to go the long way around the outside, around Jeff Schroeder. Is he going to be able to make anything work? And I believe Cristiano also tried to go for the move. Weston tried to go for the move on him as well, and there has been a big collision there. Weston Epps with a very damaged car, it looks like now. Cristiano also, same thing, a little bit of damage on that car. And I believe that was just everyone trying to send it on everyone else. 4 cars trying to take the same spot of tarmac there on the apex, and I'm gonna be honest, there ain't enough room for everyone there.
Yeah, that was 3 wide, 4 cars involved. It was just cars coming out on cold tires, just all sorts of craziness happening there in turn 1. I believe that involved both of the Racing Duchy cars. Manuel Garbino is a couple spots ahead of Cristiano right now. Weston Epps, he is just trying to get to the pits. He probably has some damage from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aerodynamic. But Garbino right on his bumper. Ooh, he gets a...
Whoa, that seems like that was... And immediately... Oh, that was a huge crash from Weston Epps. I'm not sure. Potentially Emmanuel touched him there. We'll have to go back, check it.
Looked like Garbino just had a heck of a run on Epps, who is damaged.
And then, hits immediately on the back, and that is race over. That was a huge collision for Weston Epps.
That was a really big hit on Epps' car right from behind. I mean, Garbino had such a good release out of that turn, and with Weston Epps having just that little bit of damage, it slowed him down just enough to... have Garbino just fly up behind him, and Garbino probably didn't realize how much ground he was covering. But Garbino looks like he's in the pits, and he's going to get recovered. Cristiano Schegeman in 9th. He's not going to like his result right now.
Paul's had a little bit of a spin there. I think potentially that is all by himself, but we will go back and check just to see. I do believe if we switch it over to TV cam, there is a car behind him, but I don't think there's any... malicious intent. I think Paul just got it all a little bit wrong, and yep, just spins around, gets himself off track, narrowly avoids a couple of cars, but does manage to recover it relatively safely. And yeah, just a little bit of a spinner for himself, and that puts himself down a little bit further. Nicholas Marshall currently trying to fend off Lucas here for P15. So these drivers, as much as they're battling for sort of, I guess, a better position for the sprint, you know, they're sort of in that situation, I think, where I believe Lucas just sent it up the inside, caught Nicholas maybe sleeping there a little bit, but yeah, Lucas immediately up the inside, and that pushes Lucas through up to P15. There's, what, 5 laps left if my count is right. Lucas potentially has time here to push all the way up and maybe finish in top 10. Cristiano having to pit again for fuel. Danny O'Keefe pitting for the 3rd time. So I don't know whether or not these drivers have to do a 2-stop strategy with the fuel that they're on now. But that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on, because there has been a lot of drivers now having to pit 2 or even 3 times in this race. Jackson Carr doing a pretty good job at just trying to save the car, really. You saw that the front end was twitching a little bit, and just trying to overtake Jan and doing nothing of it. Cristiano is still in the pit lane, so potentially that was with damage, though I didn't see anything. We'll go back on board and see whether or not there was a potential off track here for Cristiano. He does go off track, but I don't think there was any sort of damage done. No, just a little bit of an off track, and unless there was some damage that accrued before that. Looks like he's back in the race though, so we'll have to wait and see sort of what the results end up being. Jackson Carr obviously trying to fight for that P12 and get himself on pole for the sprint race, which is coming up after.
Yeah, Cristiano just slightly went off. I wouldn't think that he would potentially end his race just because of a damaged floorboard there. He's out of his car, it looks like, as well. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that, because that takes him out of a great position for the sprint race there. Unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does seem like there is a lot of different strategies that came through on this. Obviously, there's a lot of people who tried to pit as late as possible. The likes of Marianne pitting on lap 19, which was their one and only stop, by the way. But then a lot of other drivers pitting on that safety car that we had on lap 10. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not the likes of Jake Potts can make it all the way to the end with the fuel that they do have. Obviously, there's only 4 more laps left, so if you're going to have to try and make it using fuel saving, you've sort of had to have come into it, or come into this stint at least, with that idea in mind and be doing that from the get-go. And it looks like the pace has dropped off a little bit from Jake. It's not as quick as he normally is, but I don't think it's necessarily could be considered slow either. Like, he's still in the 37s. It's not the mids to lows that we normally see him doing. So I don't think he's pushing, but I still think he's being very consistent.
Yeah, Jake is, if we had one chink in the armor last year, Jake was just a little inconsistent in a couple of the races. He would be running great laps, running fastest laps, even compared to dominant drivers in Victor Barris and Antonio Jimenez from last year. And he would be right there with them, but he would have, one little corner that he'd take too much curb, or, in Canada we saw him, lap 1 he's leading the race and he just spins it around. Same in Watkins Glen. So if he has one little chink in the armor, it's his consistency, as we see him touch a little bit of grass there. And we still have a lot of battling going on around the track. Lucas Link here, trying to get up to that 12th spot to invert for pole position on the sprint race. Currently sitting in 12th, we have Jan Turvo from Finland. He's running those Finnish colors on his car right there. The Finnish flag on the side.
I will say, that is a nice livery. Simple, but works.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I won't complain. I'm Finnish myself on my mother's side, so seeing a fellow Finnish driver is always nice. You wouldn't be able to tell with how American I sound, but it's in there somewhere. But
yeah,
these
exactly.
drivers just pushing. Stephen Parker Hamilton sitting in 11th right now. He would start second. Eli Cannon ahead of him. But I mean, these drivers are all within, less than a second of each other on their interval. It's great to see, close driving 26 laps into the race.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is normally where we see a lot of action. And speaking of, Tico Kriegsman has finally caught up to the back of Frankie, and this is going to be a battle to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, is Tico going to be able to send it around the outside? He's going to think of it. Very brave move, but thinks better of it, I imagine. And ends up just, relaxing a little bit. You still have another race after this. Don't do anything silly. Don't end the race, Don't end the race early. You're in P4. You've gained 6 positions off the start. So from Tico's point of view, he could probably think about this as just like okay, cool. I'm just gonna, relax where I am. Absolutely fine. I don't need to really push hard right now. But if I can get this position off Frankie, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna try and take it. And we see that he is coming in with a bit of aggression, I will say. So maybe having that incident early on that pushed him further down has just caused him to really want to just push and get as high up the field as he can. Obviously wants to score as many points as possible, get his season off to the right start. And as we mentioned, so some people will be dropping this race, some people may be dropping another race. I'd imagine for everyone who is currently out of this race, chances are this will probably be their drop round. You'd imagine, right?
Yeah, some of these drivers, obviously with the the issues iRacing gave us, it swapped the first grid, which it wasn't supposed to do. So we'll on our end get that all figured out. But if it screwed everything up for you, then you can drop this race. So some of the drivers that are out, We've already had asked in the in our general chat by a couple drivers if we're going to be dropping the race. Is this race counting? This race will count, but you will be able to drop it if things went a little awry for you. But considering Tieco, Krigsman, and Frankie Franchicha, they are, they're fighting, they're battling, they're doing their thing. We know Tieco is not going to just sit back and say, yeah, I'm just going to wait. But we know Tieco is pretty aggressive. He is a fair driver, so he's not going to push Frankie too hard to make a mistake, but he is not going to give up any room on track when it comes down to getting the points or getting back on a position sitting in fourth, because Tieco, he would love to see that podium on the first race of the season. And it looks like Jeff Schroeder is coming up behind him as well.
Yeah, and if Tieco isn't careful here, if he's battling with Frankie as much as he is, then again, we may see the likes of Jeff start to claw his way up the field and see whether or not he can make any moves, but this will be your final lap of the race. So, at least for Heat 1, we do have a sprint race coming up after this. 7 laps of, I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna be absolute chaos. It's not gonna be easy to keep track of, but we will try our best. And I mean, if you're Tico Kriegsman right now, you've got one more opportunity to try and make the pass on Frankie, and really it's coming up in a second. You're not really going to have many other opportunities after this corner, so you got to follow as close as possible through the kink and hope that you can maybe try and line yourself up. Obviously, this middle sector is so hard to overtake, as Jeff, very aggressive into that corner, almost took Kriegsman out there a little bit. Goes try to go up the inside, manages to avoid any contact between the two of them. But I mean, Tico, he's probably very aware now that there is a hard charging Jeff Schroeder behind him.
Yeah, Jeff just tried to stick his nose in there and try and cause Tieco to get off his line a bit, maybe. And Tieco, looking on the inside, thinks better of it. Ooh, this is going to be a race to the line here once we get around these couple of corners. Patrick Olson in second, right ahead of him, just trying to hold it together. Ooh, Jeff Schroeder on the inside. Gonna have to swap to try and get on the inside again.
And I think it's all too little, too late. It will be a drag race to the line. Is Tico going to be able to hold off? I think he will. And yes, indeed, he does. Just about. Tico Kriegsman, very well done to hold on to that P4 from a very hard charging Jeff Schroeder. But Jake Potts will take the win of the race. Patrick Olson in second place. And again, for Patrick's point of view, you've got to be real happy with that result.
Yeah, Patrick Olson last season, he was a mid-pack finisher. So, second place, that's fantastic.
And to run you through the rest of the provisional grid order, because we don't necessarily know whether or not people will take this into account in terms of their points. I'd imagine potentially the top 10 might, but anyone lower than that will probably drop this round, depending on how they do in the sprint. So Jake Potts did end up winning your race with Patrick Olson in second place. Then we do have Frankie Franchicha and Tico Kriegsman in third and fourth respectively. Jeff Schroeder in P5 with Marianne Barbiel in P6. John Nicholas Journey in P7 with Danny O'Keefe P8. Arturo Mayorga in P9. Eli Cannon in P10. Stephen Parker Hamilton in P11, Jackson Carr P12, and we are already up to the warm-up.
It looks as though Steve Parker Hamilton had a penalty on the last lap, if I heard his comms right. So it looks like Jackson Carr and Jan Turbo jump up ahead of him. Jan Turbo is going to be starting our race on pole.
Yeah, finished 12th. So we will see what he can manage to do. Jan Tarbo there in 12th with Paul Ayala in 13th. Nicholas Marshall P14, Stephen Parker Hamilton P15, Jack Clark P16, Gabriel Castro in P17, Weston Epps P18, Halmar P19, Lucas in 20th for his debut, and then I believe everyone else was non-finishers down the grid order there. So interesting results. And now we do have a little bit of a warm-up. Everyone can just relax a little bit, get themselves all sorted out for the... I mean, quite frankly, it's going to be a hectic sprint race, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with it being such a short sprint race, it's going to be great to see, you know, the reverse grid. Everybody's going to be just... I mean, we kind of saw it at the beginning of the feature race. Everybody is so excited. Season, you know, new season, race number 1. Everybody's going to be throwing it into turn 1. I can almost guarantee it. You know, maybe not the people up front, but the people that are in the back that want to get up into those points, get those extra few little points for their team, they're going to be throwing it in quite aggressively. And we have our general chat is popping off quite a bit. A lot of people are excited for it here.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, we're going to have to throw it off to a new sponsor of ours that we have acquired thanks to just, in general, lovely people. We have a new scoring sponsorship, which is very exciting, actually. They're helping us out a lot with the back-end side of the management for the league. So we won't talk about them too much. We'll let them introduce themselves. You've probably already seen their logo up on the screen there. It is Extreme Scoring.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
And there you go. Short, sweet, Extreme Scoring. Lets us know everything that's going on. They will sort out all the point systems that we've got, sort out the heat systems and how all of that works. So yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off us. It gives us a lot more freedom in what we're doing. And if you are ever considering, you know, using anything league-wise, then yeah, definitely check out Extreme Scoring. They are probably one of the best, I would imagine, for that sort of thing.
Yeah, they are not just the best; they're one of the only. I think there is one other system that runs it, kind of like that, but you still have a lot of manual entry. Extreme Scoring is so simple. All we have to do on the management side is take the CSV file from the end of a race, drag it, drop it in their software. It takes it, reads it, takes all of the info, and gives our drivers the points, gives any penalties, gives bonus points. And their team over there is great. They can add stuff in for you, custom points wise. So we have the safest driver that they hadn't seen before, fewest incident points in the race. We'll get an extra point. We used to have to do that manually. Now their software, they designed it to where it automatically does it, set parameters, and it just goes. So we are super happy to have them. Takes a ton of back end work off. So if you're looking to start a league, if you have a league that's running already that needs just that little bit extra, they are a great way to automate quite a bit of the back end work that you have to do. As an admin, I am super happy we have them. It takes hundreds of hours off of our plate for each season, and they are very well priced. So definitely reach out to them. Mention our other sponsors, Butt Kicker. They are giving us the Gamer Pros now, not the Gamer 2s. They're giving us the Gamer Pros, which are the next step up. 3 of them each season, so our winners for the AM Series and the Pro Series will get one, and then any driver that races 8 out of the 10 races in both series will be entered into a drawing that will allow them to get the 3rd Butt Kicker for the season. And then Capral Sim Racing is going to be giving us a F3 replica wheel for the Pro, or for the AM, and then a W12 replica wheel for the Pro. But we are getting up now, so I will stop talking about sponsors. We will let our drivers do the talking here. Jan Turbo up in first, Jackson Carr, Eli Cannon. That's 2 of the Orion Legendary cars right there, Carr and Cannon.
Yeah, and you know, for this, what iRacing is going to call the feature we call the sprint. I mean, depending on the action, you're probably going to say that this will be what you will see the most action in. You know, you're looking at 7 laps of absolute mental chaos, led by our man on pole, Jan Turbo. We're going to see whether or not he can get off to a good start. And I mean, look at the amount of cars on this grid, Alex. It is absolutely insane. But we have 5 red lights coming on to our screens right now, and we are green for the sprint here in Hungary. Everyone gets off to a relatively good start. Looks like there's no bogs. We will see going into turn 1. Does Jan Turbo manage to hold off the lead? Everyone is going so aggressively on this sprint race. You've only got 7 laps. Make up as many positions as you can on the first.
Wow.
Tico Kriegsman doing an amazing job trying to get through, but there is absolute chaos everywhere behind him, and it looks as though there are so many cars just battling for any position they can get. And Marianne, I believe, is there trying to make a move on Jackson Carr. I believe, sorry, it was Marianne that was trying to make the move, not Tico. Tico Kriegsman a little bit further back off the start here, as already there are there's a big crash here between Jeff Schroeder and Eli Cannon, which is going to put Jeff Schroeder out of this sprint race. Probably not enough time to get back into it now. And that is very unfortunate for Jeff. Had a really good result in the first, but yeah, unfortunately nothing doing here, as already Frederick Larson, by the way, up 14 positions apparently. 14!
I don't know.
On lap 1.
That is possible. That is a heck of a jump from Frederick Larson. Wow. We may have to watch that one back at the end of the sprint race here. He is just flying on the grid. He was one of our fastest drivers last season, and 14 positions. Wow, that is just crazy. He must have had a great jump, and on top of it, he must have gotten through that wreck like it was nothing.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely incredible to see. And, you know, I think part of this sprint race is it's going to be luck, to be honest with you. You know, if you can get a really good result, as we see Weston Epps trying to get really aggressive here with Marianne, a little bit of door bumping as well. And Marianne is trying to push as hard as they can to overtake Weston Epps. Goes all the way to the inside. Weston Epps tries to cover them, squeezes them as well. There is chaos going on. Danny O'Keefe also having a little bit of trouble as well, keeping it on. John manages to get all the way around all of them, and then still battling with Weston. There is so much going on right now. Frankie's trying to go up the inside, and there's going to be absolute carnage behind him. Danny O'Keefe, Lucas, Frederick, Cristiano, Stephen, all in a matter of blanket space between them all. This is absolutely crazy.
Frederick Larson right up behind Lucas Link, who is right up behind Danny O'Keefe, who is right up behind Frankie Franchicha. This is insane. Ooh,
Danny O'Keefe big off as well. That is unfortunate for Danny.
Pushing up behind Frederick Larson. We have a line of cars. Oh my goodness. Arturo Mayorga is the only one with more than a 1-car gap in front of him. Stephen Parker Hamilton, Cristiano Schegetman, Frederick Hoygaard Larson, Lucas Link, Frankie Franchicha, Marion Barbaro, John Nicholas Journey, all within less than a second of each other, all the way from, 5th place, all the way down to 12th place, 13th place. So we have a tight grid going on right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pushing up, trying to get into that podium spot.
A little bit too far back.
Jan Turbo has just avoided everybody.
Yeah.
He's running away with this one.
Which is kind of what you want in the sprint race, right? You want to avoid that carnage, because if you get involved in it, we have seen so many people avoiding incidents, and here we go. This could be the 2-for-1. There's a huge crash there out in front that hopefully everyone managed to avoid, but that was Marianne and somebody else. I'm not quite sure who it was. I believe it was John there, and Frederick was almost looking for the move on Cristiano, I believe, and then had to take massively avoiding action to avoid the car spinning off. And again, we're seeing all of this carnage now, and it is absolutely insane. We have only had 3 laps. Again, it's almost crunch time already. You've almost got to the end of the race. Like, you're almost halfway through, and it hasn't even really started yet.
Yep, I mean, it is... That's the fun about these sprint races is they are just all out from the beginning all the way to the end. I mean, we see Frederick Larson, he is up from 23rd position up to 8th position. That is
7th.
just insane. That's 15 spots he's up, and he's fighting the likes of Christiana Schegemann, Lucas Link, Frankie Franchicha. I mean, he's fighting some of the faster people. And it's just crazy to think that he was able to do that. We have cars up from Lucas Link was in 20th position, and he's up to 7th. Christiana Schegemann was in 22nd position and is up to 9th.
Weston in the pits. I'm not sure if that's with damage, but Weston is in the pits. You don't have to spin. You don't have to pit in the feature, so whatever that is an unfortunate thing for Weston to have. That is gonna sour his mood, I'm pretty sure.
We see a couple moves being made into turn 1 with Tieko Krigsman, Arturo Mayorga side by side. Christiano Schegemann making the moves on Frederick Larson. They do a switchback here. Larson pushing up right behind him. Larson is not going to let that go very easily. Ooh, wow! What a bad turn to try and make a move in. But like you said, it's crunch time. It's time to you don't have very many laps left.
It's all gas now. You gotta go. Like you can't be holding on. Like you've got to go for it. In a sprint race where it's only 7 laps, every single lap counts. You need to make every move that presents itself to you, and you need to make sure that it sticks. Tieko Krigsman is definitely trying as hard as he can to do that. He's currently purple through Sector 1, purple through Sector 2. He's going to try and make the move on Steve Parker. Hamilton goes up the inside. That should be moved done and dusted, depending on whether or not Steven can defend around the outside, but no, he cannot. And that is Tieko Krigsman telling Steven, mate, I am faster than you right now. I have a places to be. Get out my way. I'm going to the top. Tieko is on it.
Yep, and his place to be is right behind Frederick Larson and Christiano Schegemann, who are fighting each other. Look at these guys weaving and just trying to break the toe. And that's going to allow Tieko to get just that little bit closer. Frederick Larson not throwing it on the inside, but he's still right there on the bumper of Schegemann. I mean, this is just some crazy racing going on right now. Jackson Carr in second, Frankie Franchicha in third once again. Jackson Carr is not normally up in the podium positions. He's normally a mid-pack racer like we'd seen before with, I believe it was Patrick Olson from the last race.
So again, it just goes to show, you can have a relatively okay sprint race, maybe not one that's like super good in terms of results, like you can finish sort of mid-pack, and then in the sprint you can just make up all those positions, gain a few more points, and you're looking actually like the weekend wasn't so bad for you after all. Jackson Carr having to hold off against Frankie at the moment. I think Frankie is just going to have to sit down at the moment and just get a idea on, right, Jackson, where are you weak? I need to make a move, and when I make that move, it needs to work. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sat in P3 for the last couple of laps. So here, I would imagine Frankie sees how close they got up to the back of Jackson and is like, right, that's where I'm going to try and make the move. So the next 2 laps, Jackson, you're going to have to defend the inside of that corner every time, bud, because Frankie is on a mission trying to hunt you down right now.
Ooh, and Franchicha gets... he loses his rear
Franchicha off.
Well, that's a couple positions for Schegemann, Larson, Krigsman. Hamilton goes by, Mayorga goes by.
Who's that else off in the background there? I believe that was Emmanuel as well. All these drivers pushing so hard to try and gain positions in this sprint race. Maybe tires are going off a cliff. Like, we're looking at, yes, this is only 7 laps, but this is 7 laps of absolute being on the limit. As we see, Weston Epps try and make the move on Mike Capral. Did have to pit earlier, so we're still not sure as to why that may have been. Only pit for 1.95 seconds in the box, so potentially a fast repair or a quick little top off on fuel. Maybe Weston forgot to put in just enough for the feature race here, the sprint even. And
guess it was probably just that fast repair. I mean, we saw him have a little bit of damage So he might have been thinking that a faster pair would be better than, trying to drive around with the damage from, bumping into a couple cars.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, I mean, look, this race has been probably everything we could have envisioned and more. And we really hope to try and sort out this this heat system as it works right now. Hopefully we can get it sorted, because, I mean, I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to get a really intense 28-lap race and then also another 7-lap insane race afterwards, obviously those aren't going to be the laps, like, for every race, but even still, like, if I can get something like that, I mean, every single time I go watching the IFL I'm clicking like, I'm clicking subscribe, I'm getting involved, you know? Like, this is absolutely crazy.
If you want to get involved, the AM series is open sign up. Anybody can get involved. Ooh, and we see 3 wide. Jackson Carr is defending for his life. We're on the final lap of the race. Jackson Carr is trying his hardest. Oh my goodness. And these cars are faster than Jackson. That is why he started up in second. He finished in 11th place in the feature. And these cars, we know Sugarman's fast, Krigsman's fast, Larson's fast, Hamilton behind him is fast. We have 5 cars that are all piled right on top of each other that are all trying for that second place. Wow, bumper to bumper.
Jeez, this is absolutely crazy. But once again, we're seeing another British Hamilton who is insanely fast. New driver to the league is Tico.
Lose it.
That is very unfortunate for Tico, and he needs to be careful going back on track, because there are a whole bunch of cars around him that are trying to make moves, and Frankie's also now right onto the back of Tico. I'm not sure if Frankie ended up making that move on whoever it was that they were stuck behind. I can't remember who it was now, but...
and up front we have Jackson Carr touching Cristiano Schegemann, and Frederick Larson gets through. Can Larson take?
And this is the final lap of the race, keep in mind, so it is all absolute chaos. It's a drag race to the line. All 4 of them managed to get through unscathed, but it was all kicking off near the end. And it's still not over yet. There's still more action, especially further down the field. We switch, and Paul Ayala, there's a huge crash right at the line! There is a huge crash right at the line! Oh no! There are so many cars off!
What did I just see?
What did we just see? There's still cars in the wall. Weston Epps and Emmanuel are still on the wall.
That was one of the worst crashes I have seen in the IFL.
That was huge.
We have to go back and watch that once over, because I don't think they made it to the line before they all got together there.
Oh, I'm trying to see if I can find this crash here, so I want to see if I can... It's hard to see where the incident happened. Tico trying to go for a little bit of an aggressive move there. Not necessarily the place you really want to try and go for it, but yeah, this was a little bit further back, so let's see if we can get near the end here. There was... For some reason, it's not showing us, so we may have to just stick on board with Tico Krigsman here and just see what happens. Here it is. So all of that led to people being 3 wide out of the final corner. We're sticking on board with Tico Krigsman to see what happens. So Tico Krigsman, and then 2 cars spin in front of him, and then Tico gets involved, and then everyone is in the wall. So it was a chain reaction of events there. Tico Krigsman being off track due to that crash that they had with, I believe that was Paul Ayala. Yeah, it was. So Paul, Tico having a little bit of a coming together right about now. You'll see Tico, and yeah, there is Paul spinning around, tries to get back into the race as soon as possible.
That's just a mad scramble to try and get back to the line, get up and going.
Because here we are, look at how many cars there are involved.
Yeah, they were fighting back there before, and it just, they all are switchbacking, they're trying to get ahead of each other.
And then, boom.
Right before the line, too. That's a big hit.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my, and then, Weston Epps
I think Weston had crossed the line at that point and just decided to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
I think that's what that was.
Weston Epps coming in 13th, so yeah, he was out of the points. Mike Capral ends up being our last point scorer. Let's see who actually, in all of that craziness, let's see who got points. Because that was quite crazy.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't think any of those drivers were grabbing points.
no, that
Capral
was
crosses the line. Flodman, yeah, they were all out of the points. So thankfully it wasn't for points, but wow, what an ending.
yeah, that was absolutely insane. And
let's go down the list here.
Yeah, so we've got Jan Turbo does win the feature with Jackson Carr and Frederick Larson very close together in second and third. Cristiano in fourth. Stephen Parker Hamilton in fifth with Arturo Mayorga in sixth. John Journey in seventh with Patrick Olsen taking home P8. Frankie Francisca in P9 and Mike Capral rounds out your top 10 for points. Joachim Flubman does finish 11th with Emmanuel Jabino in 12th. Weston Epps finishing 13th. Jack Clark in 14th. Marianne there in 15th. Moving a little bit further down the grid, we do have Jake Potts in 16th, Danny O'Keefe in 17th, Eli Cannon in 18th, Gabriel Castro in 19th, Tico Kriegsman in 20th, Paul Ayala in 21st, Jeff Schroeder in 22nd, Frank Bisa in 23rd, Nicholas Marshall in 24th, then Lucas Link in 25th, and I believe the other drivers were unfortunate non-starters. But yeah, what a race from the very beginning. That was absolutely insane.
Yeah, that was just unreal. The sprint format this season is going to be so much fun to watch. Like we said, Jan Turbo here getting his first sprint race win. We had Jake Potts on the heat gets his first main Grand Prix win, followed by Patrick Olsen and Frankie Francisca. And then on the sprint race, the other two, Jackson Carr getting his second place, first podium, and Frederick Larson getting his first podium in sprint races. Wow. That's all I got to say is wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was even though it was such a big, shifting of sessions and needing to, correct a couple things where iRacing had, wigged out on us here. That ended up being probably one of the more exciting races that I've ever broadcast. And on top of it, it wasn't even at one of the most exciting tracks. Hungary is normally one of those straightforward tracks. You qualify most of the time. You're going to be finishing somewhat close to the order that you started, but it just everything mixed up, got turned on its head, mixed up again, and it was just an incredible race. So drivers, great job. We'll have things a little bit cleaner for the next race, which is, I believe, we take 1 week off, and then we come back strong with 2 or 3 weeks on for racing. I believe we have one of the endurance races coming up next week, if I am correct, Alyssa. You are the endurance, champion over there.
I believe we do have a couple of endurance events coming up. I, off the top of my head, cannot think which one it is this weekend, but I know there is another one. Oh, sorry, there was one that was this weekend. But thankfully, it looks like most people still managed to show up for this race, and then yeah, next weekend we do have another one, which I'll have to try and figure out what that is, what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, that was absolutely crazy. It is if the rest of the season's going to be like this, minus the issues, I mean, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm completely on board for that. But we do have a couple people in our broadcast waiting room. I'd like to interview at least our race winners, and we have Frederick Larson and Patrick Olsen both in there as well. So let's bring 1 or 2 of them in here.
So we will bring in. Should we get in Jan Turbo first, our race winner from the sprint race? Let's try and bring him in here. If I can find the channel. There it is. Jan Turbo, mate. I mean, debut here in the IFL. You go and win what looked like behind you a very hectic sprint race, but from yourself, I'd imagine once you got through turn one, the rest of it felt pretty comfortable.
Yes, thanks. It's really after first lap when I went tires to warm up, it was just trying to stay there.
Yeah, no, it looked like you were sort of very in control on the sprint. Maybe not necessarily the 28 lap race was maybe not the result you were looking for, but hey, I mean, in terms of a first result, I mean, you're showing that you've got pretty good speed, and definitely a driver we'll look out for in the future. And yeah, and I mean, mate, if you wanna, say if there's anything else that you wanna, bring on, if you've got like a breakdown of what happened in both races, feel free to share, man.
I really don't know yet. It was first race. It was such a mess at the start, and then just trying to try my and do not do any mistakes, and let's see what comes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, you're sort of relatively new to the league, and the season's only just started. But do you have any sort of predictions on where you want to go? Sort of any goals in mind regarding sort of, do you want to finish in the top 10 in the league? Are you aiming for top 5? You aiming to be number 1? Where are you sort of placing yourself early on?
It's hard to say yet. It seems to be really high class races. So if it's top 15, maybe.
Okay. Hey, I mean, look, potentially with all of the sprint stuff going on as well, as you've won the sprint here as well, so potentially more results like that, you may end up finding yourself top 10 by the end of the season. But again, it's been absolutely awesome to see you out on track for the first time. And yeah, before we finish anything off, is there sort of anyone else you want to thank?
Yes, in stream my car livery was not showing, but I'm with Capral sim racing team, so thanks for them getting me in.
Oh, so yeah, you're racing for the Capral sim racing team. So yeah, that's a good team result then. Great job.
Yes.
Well, I think we're going to let you go, and we're going to bring in one of the other race winners here. Great job, and we will see you guys. We'll see you guys next week, or a couple weeks from now when we're doing our second race of the season. Once again, great result there, Jan. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Yeah, no, don't know yet. Yes, thanks. I go to sleep now.
All right, have a great night.
And if you can remember, Alex, who won our first race of? I believe I can get the results up for Heat 1. It was Jake Potts. So, do you wanna get your man in here? Get a few words with Jake.
Pull Jake in. Jake, do you have us down there?
Yeah, what's up?
How's it going? First race of the season, you win the big race, the feature. How's it feel to take home the first win of the season?
That felt really good. That was it's really satisfying. A lot of work went in behind the scenes, getting the setup ready, and just got to thank John because he did a really good job getting us all ready.
So what was your approach coming into the race weekend here?
Well, I wanted to do the best that I could. I knew that some of my main competition from last season wasn't going to be racing this season, so I was hoping, maybe there's going to be a chance for me to have some good results this year. And so far, we did. So I'm just trying to keep it clean throughout the race. Wasn't able to do that completely, but that's I guess leaves room for improvement there.
Yep, you have lost Victor Barris and Antonio Jimenez in the competition, but you still have Frederick Larson, Cristiano Chegetman coming back this season. We saw a very fast Tieko Krigsman as well. Who, if you had to pick anybody out from the 30 drivers that are on the grid this season, who are you trying to stay ahead of? Who's your main rival.
I mean, looking at Jeff Schroeder, man, that dude has some pace. Seeing what he did in qualifying, he's a Lumos driver because I guess I'm Knox now. He's Lumos, so he's got a lot of pace. It's gonna be a thorn in my side all season, I think.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of unlucky drive for Jeff. A lot of traffic the first couple laps. A lot of incidents going on. We had 2 yellow flags through that one, but we saw a lot of incidents throughout the track. The yellow flags were well deserved. Over 40 incidents in a 10-second period. So that's what triggered each one of those. But what did you try and do to avoid the crashes? Was there any specific strategy? Was there any anything you were trying to do? Stay on the outside, stay on the inside of everybody. What was the approach for staying clean?
Really, it's just stay hyper focused and pay attention what the car ahead of you's doing. Don't try and brake super late going into T1 on cold tires. Everybody tries to do that and then ends up locking up, and then we get big wrecks. But after that second caution, I knew that it was going to be right on the limit of pitting and being able to take enough fuel for the end. So once I did that, I was like, we're good. We have enough fuel for the end. I figured it was going to be like a repeat of Monza last year, where strategy is what wins it for you. And so that's what I was kind of looking at the entire race, was hopefully everybody ahead of me still has to pit, and they did, and brought home the win.
Yep. Yeah, we have quite the mixed up grid compared to what we normally saw. We saw Patrick Olson right behind you,
He pit with me.
taking second, and Frankie Francica in third. I believe you all pit on the same lap there. So like you said, that strategy just won out today in the feature race, and we have some new drivers. Jan Turvo took home the first sprint race of the season here. What do you think of the sprint race being 7 laps and the craziness that ensued during that?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's a lot, so you just gotta you can't really take it easy because it's a sprint, so you got to be pushing. But I think someone ran into me from behind. I'm not sure. I'll have to watch the replay because I got taken out quite quickly into it. So it was definitely mayhem, but it's a lot of fun. I think it's got a lot of potential once we get all these kinks worked out, and from here on out, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yep, I think we have them for the most part figured out. iRacing likes to change things up when we submit the session for posting. So hopefully we don't get any more kinks and we can catch up before anything happens. But great win. We're gonna pull a couple other guys in here to give interviews. Any shout outs that you have this week?
Just a big shout out to Knox and Lumos for making it happen. Practicing and just making each other better.
Awesome. Well, we hope to see you again in interviews next week or a couple weeks from now. We will hope to see you on the podium.
Heck yeah. See you guys there.
All right. Well, that was Jake Potts, your feature race winner. We have Frederick Larson and Patrick Olson both here. We're going to bring in Patrick Olson first. He got second in the feature race. Patrick Olson, how are you feeling after getting second place in the main race?
It's a little bit of a surprise, but really exhausted, happy, and I was a really good race, both of them. Chaotic, fighting, everything.
Yep, yeah, it was such a crazy race all the way through. And then the sprint race was even crazier than we could have expected. But yeah, it looks like strategy is, we talked to Jake Potts here just before you, strategy is what really put him ahead, and it looked like you had pit the same lap as he did.
Yeah, we went in on the same, in the safety car.
Yep, and
I think that was a really good decision.
Yep, yeah, he said it was right on the edge of being able to get it to the end of the race on fuel, and it ended up paying off for you. Second place, and I didn't quite see where the rest of your team had finished. It looked like some unfortunate touches. Hjalmar Alberg finishing outside of the points, and Joachim Floven finishing outside of the points as well. So second place is going to be a good haul of points for the team. What are you guys going to work on going into the next race?
Yeah, well, keep on going. We're a good team. We're practicing a lot together, pushing each other, finding a lot of time. So it's just pushing on. Maybe look at strategy a little bit more. I think still there are really aggressive people, so you need to stay away from. So we need to learn that also. But yeah, just continue.
Yep, yeah, that's the thing with a league race is you start to learn who's gonna throw it on the inside of you and who's going to be a little bit more cautious. We saw a couple moves that were super aggressive, a couple drivers that held back on their dive bombs, but yeah, you learn as you go, and like you said, you just keep practicing, keep going, keep improving. Do you have any shout outs that you want to give before we let you go here?
Yeah, but to the team, really good, and also a lot of people in the practice in the week, like Lucas, that taught me a lot of good things. So people are open-minded and helping each other. I think that's really nice. So shout out to everybody that practice with us in the weeks.
Yep, yeah, great community here in the IFL, Lucas. Like you said, helping out. We're very inclusive. We love to have a great tight community here. Obviously, everybody wants to win and push each other as much as they can, but you know, making those friendships and really helping each other out to become better race drivers is always the goal. So thanks for stopping in here, Patrick. We will hopefully see you in the podium again next week.
Sure.
So we hope to interview you again. But have a great night, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Patrick Olson, your second place finisher for the feature race. We're going to bring in Frederick Larson for the. He was third on the podium for the sprint race. Frederick, do we have you down there?
Hello.
How's it going, Frederick? How you feeling after taking third in the sprint? You started in 23rd place.
I mean, I was pretty sad about the feature race, to be honest. And I feel like I had not a good pace, but an okay pace. And I think the sprint race showed what I could have achieved in that one as well. So it was unfortunate. I feel like this was a loss and not a win, to be honest.
Hey, you scraped out what that would be 8 points for your team because of the amazing jump from 23rd up to third place. You got that last podium spot, and you know you had a little bit of a mishap. I believe it was Flodman that you had come together with in turn 2, and you both had some damage. He reset, you reset, and you know, like you said, unfortunate. It feels like a loss, but with that sprint race, you actually made up quite a bit of ground on some of the competition around you. So great job to come back from that. It's going to be a fun one to watch back. What were the highlights of your race? What were some of the things that stood out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was probably I had a good battle actually when I got out of the pit. In the feature race, actually, even though I was a lap down, it was still fun to watch. I think we were 4 guys very close, so that was fun. And then the sprint race, it was basically just me staying out of trouble because I didn't want to end that like in the feature race. So I can't even remember, to be honest. I'm getting old. But
You got
yeah,
the red mist going on. You're just so focused that when you try and look back at it, it's just a blur.
yeah. I mean, I just tried staying out of trouble, and yeah, in the end, I was figuring it out that I think it was P4. I was P5 on the last lap when that began. And I could just see that those guys in front of me, they really wanted that podium position and just P2 as well. So I just figured, yeah, they are gonna crash. And I mean, they didn't, but I think it was the second to last turn. They went too wide, and I just realized, okay, if I stay on the inside, I will get one of the positions. because the outside never win in that turn. So yeah, that is what I did, and then I overtook. I think it was Cristiano, and I got P3. So yeah, I mean, I can't even remember any other overtakes that I did.
Yeah, there's a big wreck in turn 1 that a lot of people slowed down for and had gotten damage. I know a lot of people had pit, and a lot of people had had to either didn't fuel right or had penalties or something. So there were a few people that had to pull into the pits, but still, going from 23rd to 3rd is no small feat.
No, it was fun though. Just and I only had 7 laps to do it, so it was a bit of a challenge.
Well, you did a fantastic job. I think we're going to let you go and end this broadcast here. We hope to see you again on the podium for the next race. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, my team, as always, Danny, the the unlucky guy who got hit twice from behind in both races. So yeah, and Eli, great team, always helpful. So yeah, those guys.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll let you go, Frederick. Great job. Let you enjoy the rest of your night. Any other comments you have, Alyssa, before we sign off here?
I mean, aside from the fact that this was absolutely mental, and I want to give a massive shout out to the admin crew here in the IFL for getting all this organized at seemingly last minute. I mean, it was all hell broke loose, and we still managed to put on a good show. I think that shows how rock solid we are as a league. And hey, if you want to get yourself involved with everything, feel free to do so. You've got the league info on your screen, iFormulaLeague.com. Come get involved. Join us in the Discord. And mate, we have one more race left for today. That is your pro category race. That will be the Mercedes AMG W12s, good old F1 cars that we all know and love. Love it or hate it, the Mercedes was a beast of a car.
Yes, it was, and it is a lot faster than these F3 cars. We're doing a regular 66%, so 2/3 of true F1 length race. So we'll see a little bit of tire strategy, different tire compounds involved there. So we will see you guys over there in about a 25 to 30 minute time. But for now, we're signing off on the AND series. Once again, this is brought to you by Butt Kicker, Capral Sim Gear, and Extreme Scoring. Once again, they help us out on the back end stuff. So if you guys have any questions on how to get into the league, just go to www.iFormulaLeague.com. You can join, you can hop in the Discord, you can chat with all the drivers that you saw on track today. And everybody out there, hope to see you guys for the pro, and then again, hope to see you guys for the next AM race.